let me answer right away about going up into space. So, ever since I read Rachel Carson's book, The Silent Spring, 50 years ago, where she predicted all that's happening to the planet today, she said this was going to happen, and when I read her book, I thought the same thing, and every time I did an interview, or I'd come in front of a group of people and say, it's bad out there, man. And, like a bad debt, you think, I'll pay it tomorrow, or I'll pay it next month, or you just kick it down the road like we do everything. If it's bad, okay, no, I'll deal with it tomorrow, or I'll deal with it next, right, maybe I won't have to deal with it. But you can't escape what's happening to the planet. So, a friend of mine, Jason Ehrlich is his name, said a couple of years ago, Blue Origin is going to send a rocket up into space. They should take you on the first voyage. And I said, oh, Jason, nobody's So he called Amazon, and the people at Amazon said, well, come on up to Seattle. So 2 years ago, Jason Ehrlich and I went up to Seattle, and we said, if you invite Shatner on, and Captain Kirk was up, and I'm thinking, why do I want to do that? I mean, that's uncomfortable. I don't know. They shoot up and come back down. And so they say, well, this is an old call. And then COVID hits and everything stops for a year. So 6 months ago, 5 months ago, somewhere around there, shortly after the shark episode, they call and they say, we're going up. Jeff Bezos has decided to go up first as well, and let's see what happens. So we wait, and then Jeff Bezos chooses his brother to go up. And I say to Jason, see, I told you, Bezos is going up with his brother, first up. So Jason says, well, maybe the second trip. I said, the second? Nobody wants the second trip. You want the president, you don't want the vice president. So Jeff Bezos goes up, comes out, and, it made the news, but it was all right. And then they called and said, would you like to go up on the second voyage? And I'm thinking, why do I'm so comfortable in Los Angeles, why do I? And then there's all that stuff, and there's the risk and the thing, and gotta go for all those days in the Texas desert. And then I thought a little bit more about it, thought, it's dangerous, but the whole premise of Blue Origin is we all can go if you had $3 or $4 million. So there'd be a lot of it. No, so I mean, they're trying to make it safe for civilian traffic because Mr. Bezos' ambition is to put polluting industries straight up, 250, 80 miles up there in geocentric orbit, and you put up the polluting industries like electrical companies and stuff like that, and you could take a giant step towards getting the debris out of the air of the earth. So it's a noble, excuse the word, enterprise. So I thought, I'll go up. It's a thrill. It's got to be safe. The stuntman is the only one who gets hurt. I'll go. So I say, okay, I'll go up in the second flight. And then they call, and now you got to go to Texas, and you got to be, this wasn't Cape Canaveral. This is out in the Texas desert. It's Bezos' own money, so it's very simple. They have those Airstream trailers. The modern. Do I mean Airstream? Yeah, Airstream. So they have half a dozen Airstream trailers for you to live, one of which is yours to live in. I lived in one, and the first day I was there, the toilet backed up. Yeah. I'm an astronaut and the toilet backs up. Excuse me, I'm Captain Kirk and the toilet just backed up? There's a lot of shit going on around here. It was really awful. So it was kind of primitive out there, and in fact I knew that, so I didn't invite any family or my wife, all of whom said, Bill, you can't go. I'm shooting a documentary, of course, of this whole thing. So we filmed. So 2 of my 3 daughters come to the house, and my wife Elizabeth, and Jason with his camera. And we're shooting my daughters and my wife saying, you can't go. You don't understand. You could die. We don't want you to die. And they are pummeling not to go. It was a great film. And I'm saying, I gotta go. Space is calling. But I thought it best not to have them there with the toilet backing up and the silver and the Airstream. So then we practiced. I was going to say rehearsed. We practiced a lot in this one maneuver, which was impossible to practice, which is you're going to be in weightlessness for a few minutes, 3 minutes. And then the pod, the spaceship, is on the top of a rocket. The rocket sends it up and jettisons it, and it goes soaring up 65 miles into space. The Kármán line, thanks. I need all the help I can get, by the way. The Kármán line is the space line, 62 miles. We went to 65 just to be sure. Imagine going to 61 miles. Wait a minute, no you didn't, you went 61 miles. So this thing jettisons and we go up into an arc. So you're in G's going up, and then you're in weightlessness, and then as you start to come back, you're going to hit G's again. And boy, G's, and there's no way of practicing that. But the thing you could practice was the technique of getting back into your 5-point harness. You're in a seat that is like, extends your whole body, and now you got to strap a 5-point harness all over you. Now, I drive fast cars, and I'm used to getting into a 5-point harness. So this thing here and this thing here is fine, no problem, right? This thing here is on a wire. You put this in. The thing that is really important, that is impossible to get at, is the crotch. Okay? What do? Do you have the shoulders first, which they told you to do in case you can't get the crotch? The crotch became the fundamental problem with me. Getting that crotch strap into a hole in the 5-point harness was the worst thing. I wasn't afraid of the fulminating hydrogen and oxygen. I couldn't get the crotch strap into the goddamn harness. In fact, the 4th member of the group, 2 guys who were worth a lot of money, bought seats, but Audrey Powers is the space lawyer who was an engineer who did, this remarkable lady was given the gifts. She's head of something very big at Blue Origin. Audrey Powers has been at the company for years, and she was used to putting up the crotch strap. And they told Audrey Powers to look after Captain Kirk and make sure the crotch strap was in the harness before she got into hers. It was so demeaning. In fact, I'll jump ahead for a moment. I never did get the crotch. You know, it's one thing to say, "Oh, okay, Audrey, you get there and do it, and you get back." and then suddenly you're descending, and the countdown is like 5 seconds to the G. I get back into yours, Audrey, I'm okay. And I was, without the crotch strap. So, you have to walk up 11 flights of the gantry. 11 flights of stairs. Now, there was a lady who was responsible for our training as astronauts. And so, the two gentlemen who were there, DeVries and the other gentleman, were very, not important, but they were vital human beings. I mean, they were knowledgeable and sensible, and they had fashion businesses. They'd done it themselves, and lovely people. But one of them took to heart Sarah's instructions. You're astronauts. Walk with a purpose. Walk like an astronaut. You know, so the one guy said, I'm an astronaut. He had his hand on his head. And I said to Sarah, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm an actor. What happens if you have a studious astronaut who walks like this, wondering, you know, I'm an astronaut, but I'm walking like this because I'm wondering about the nature of the stage. Yeah, I mean, why does an astronaut walk like this? Only John Glenn did this. So after that, she kind of was shamefaced and never urged us on to walk like astronauts. Because we weren't. I coined the phrase when I was asked, how does it feel to be an astronaut? I said, I'm only a half. So you have to walk up 11 flights of stairs in the gantry, and you're at 4,000 feet. Now we were at 5,000. Is this 5,000? 5,000. You know, I got up this morning going, ooh, what was that? Of course I thought, oh yeah, it's right up at 5,000 feet. This is 4,000 feet. It's only a little tiny less than this. And I'm walking up 11 flights of stairs in front of all these cameras. I'm Captain Kirk, and I'm going. So I stop at every story. Oh, look at the scenery. Whoa, boy. And I finally made it to the 11 flights, and I thought, where's the camera? There's a room, a cement room at the top of the gantry, which they showed us earlier in the week. We had to walk up there as well. That's when I realized I wasn't going to make it if I walked like an astronaut up there. There's a cement room in case something goes wrong. That's the last thing you want to show a civilian. Okay, here's where we slam the door shut, and it's sealed shut. There's oxygen in there. There's a radio in there in case everything blows up. This is where the room is. Excuse me? Where's the stuntman? Finally, we rehearsed it enough, trained enough. Without the rocket there, and then the day of the rocket. And then we met early in the morning for a very serious conversation, which was about peeing, urinating, pissing. How does an astronaut hold his urine, which is even worse, right, as I understand it? Right. How do you hold your urine for that length of time? Not just, in this case, not just the flight, sitting on this chair and all that kind of thing, but there was all this pre-publicity. Yes, I'm an astronaut. And you got to talk. And if you had a breakfast of some kind, hydration is critically important, by the way. Hydration is huge. I mean, we talk about hydration. I had what do you call it? Is he, Vertigo. Thank you. Well, did you see Vertigo? She said vertigo. What's the signal for vertigo? That's it. That's exactly how I felt. I had vertigo once, and it turned out to be lack of hydration. And I got up out of a chair and went, oh, and I was all crazed with dizziness. You want to avoid that when you're flying in space. So you got to drink fluids. And you got to balance the number of fluids to keep you hydrated and to avoid peeing. Do you remember that story of that female astronaut who drove across the country so crazed with passion that she wore diapers? And when she stopped at a gasoline station, all she did was, you know, piss into the car and then leave, and not because she was so crazed in love with somebody. Those were the diapers they wanted us to wear. Captain Kirk, exactly. I'm not sure that's the picture I want on there. They also make a gel. You sprinkle powder in your pouch, and it turns to jelly. And astronauts, these are little, I'm giving you little tidbits of space here now. Don't tell anybody. I decided I'm not going to do that. So apparently a couple of people did, and I don't know who exactly. But I did not. I wore comfortable jockey shorts. Could have worn Depends, but I didn't. And so it went, and up the gantry into the spaceship. I'm now prone on the chair, I'm buckled in, and they're putting hydrogen and oxygen into the rocket. Any of you remember those Hindenburg documentaries? It's all the humanity of it all. Remember that guy? And people running down and the thing burning and all that. That's the picture I had in mind when I was thinking I'm sitting on top of hydrogen. Suffice to say, it went. It exploded the way it's supposed to. It thrust the vehicle up, went through G's where my face went down, up there into weightlessness, where you are just, and they were doing something else in their weightlessness, the other three. I was looking out the window. I was looking out the window because I wanted to see it. And I'm looking there, and I'm looking at there's a 50-mile skin of air around the earth. And I'm looking down there, and I'm seeing the path of the spaceship, like through the air. I don't see the spaceship, but I see the wake, if you will. Through blue, it's blue, it's blue. No, it's not blue. And I look over here, and it's black. Not the black of space. It's galaxies, and it's twirling dust storms on the moon. No, black. Death. I'm looking at death. And I'm looking at life. I'm looking at the beauty of the pale blue, fawn, white, giver of life, our planet. And the opposite, which is nothing. And in that such sadness over what we're doing. 50 miles of air that gets thinner and thinner as you go up. That's all. We're breathing it. We're going to die. If we continue what we're doing, Earth's not going to die. Earth can get rid of us as quickly as our bodies heat up and get rid of a virus. Have a cold, get a temperature, virus dies, body's fine. The Earth, Gaia, is doing the same thing. I was filled with such sadness that when I came back down guess there was a sense of relief as well. But the sadness is still with me talking to you today. I feel such empathy for what we've done and what we're doing and what we're trying not to do. It's so important. I come back with that message. Thank you very much.